Hello there. Welcome back to Blue Heinz / Time Machine Garage. Here's a milestone for you. This thing is finally on the ground for the first time, on its wheels for the first time since the new chassis. We couldn't do this until now because the new rear end is narrowed to accommodate wider wheels and tires, and the tubs, the tire space under the rear of the car wouldn't accept the tire placement. So with the installation of the new tubs, the mini tubs, we could finally put it on the ground on its own wheels. These are temporary wheels, by the way. They look kind of silly here because they're not the proper backspace. They are the right diameter. They're 18-inch, which is going to be the permanent size. But these are centered. I think they're 8-inch wheels with a 4-inch offset. And you see they're way in there. They're in the inside the fender by about 4 inches, or 3 or 4 inches. Anyway, here's what the mini tub installation looks like. It's probably 95% complete now. All that's left is the little hooks and clips that accommodate the rear seat cushion back, the rear seat back cushion. There's a little hook, I think, that goes on each side, and a couple of little clips that go on the bottom that capture that seat back. Those have to be put in, and a little more grinding and stuff like that underneath the car where the frame is in the way right now. So until the body comes off the frame, that can't be done. But this is what we did to replace the structure that forms the partition between the passenger compartment and the trunk, and also hangs the rear seat cushion. So hangs the rear seat back cushion. So this is what we did. This is all Scott's vision. They bought a set of dimple dies and made the partition pieces out of half by 2-inch tubing and half by half tubing. So there you go. And like I say, now it's on the ground on its wheels. And there's what it looks like. Pretty low. It's, we measured the Blue Heinz, and they're right now, as they're both sitting, they're probably 1/4 of an inch apart. They're almost identical as far as height. So anyway, there you go. That's what we're up to right now. Talk to you later. Bye. Just as a little aside, I think I showed you a little Model A adventure that I was going to throw into the mix, as though I need more things to deal with. Trying to do a will it run video on a Model A motor that's been sitting around in pieces for literally 60 years, along with at least one more motor the same way, all apart, and a bunch of pieces from a third motor. Trying to put one together and see if it will run on a reasonable cost basis. So here we go. Take a look at this. Hello there. Welcome back to Blue Heinz Garage. This is what it looks like sometimes lately, making best use of the space, I guess. What needs to be inside, what doesn't need to be inside. Anyway, I thought you might enjoy seeing this. This is got deep roots, this what you see here in the back of this truck. Without making a long story here, let's see. 1963, when I was 20 years old, I had a Model A coupe, 5-window coupe, that I had probably bought a year and a half, 2 years before. Just bought a off the showroom floor 63 Impala because I knew the following year, 1964, I was going to be getting married. I wanted to start with my married life with a dependable new car or whatever. So the end of the model year, we bought a 63 Impala right off the showroom floor. That same day was probably around September of 1963. We took it to my parents' house, the new car to my parents' house. We're sitting around the kitchen table, and I asked my brother if he wanted to buy the car. Because, again, getting married the following year, I thought, well, I ain't going to have time to work on this thing nor the money to work on this thing. And if my brother owns it, I might still be able to work on this thing because it'll still be around. So anyway, at a reduced price, I sold the car to him. Anyway, what that led to was my brother getting into going to swap meets with other Model A people and stuff like that. He came back from one of those a few months after that with this. Essentially, 2 complete motors, I think, and probably parts for a third one. I know looking through this stuff, there's at least 12 pistons here. So anyway, he's had these things. He stored them and moved them around. They were under my dad's house till he passed away, and then all this stuff got moved to my brother's house, and it's been stored at his house at this point. He's looking to make space. He's never going to do anything with this stuff. He's looking to make space. So I convinced him that I would like to put one of these motors together. I'd like to do a, shall we say, will it start? But a long process, will it start? You know, kind of doing the farmer assembly idea. If anybody watches Mart's Garage, it's a guy in England that likes to play around with flathead Fords, kind of that style where he uses mostly all old parts that he reconditions and fixes, and or if they're good to start with, you know, but he likes to use original parts, used or not, like I said, assuming they're good. So this is kind of a version of that. I enjoy watching people doing that kind of stuff. This is going to take a long time, not only because of the condition. You see this stuff sat around since 1963. Yeah, since 1963 in unheated, you know, under houses, in sheds, that kind of play thing. So it's not in the best shape. It's savable, but it's not in the best shape. I'll show you the motor, or the one that I'm going to use. There's a block in the truck, and there's another one over here. I'm gonna try and use this one. This one I just did the numbers, just ran the numbers. This one's a 31, February of 31, and you see it isn't bad. It's got paint on it. There's some rust, but it's surface. And I'm gonna try that electrolysis system, shall we call it? And see how that works as far as getting rid of the rust. I'm told, I read a bunch of stuff, I'm told it will not attack the babbitt. The electrolysis will not attack the babbitt. So I'm going to try that. Maybe what I'll do just to prove that is I'll take one of the old rods and put the rod in the electrolysis and see what it does to the babbitt before I put this in there. Because the babbitt looks pretty good in this. But anyway, even before, I'm not going to do a lot on this. Again, for priorities, I have to put this together first. This is a 4-volt main 350 that I've had, I don't remember a year, but I've had for probably 25 years. I was going to put it in a 48 Chevy and then decided to sell that car, and I bought a 40 Ford. And that's what it's going to go in. That car is in a shop getting built. And I'm going to, like I said, I've had all the parts for this thing for at least 25 years. I'm going to do a little research, current research, and get some recommendations on those parts, see if they're still viable. They're new. I mean, they're good stuff, but I don't know if in the way I'm putting this car together, you know, I'm putting one of those 200 R4 overdrive automatics behind this motor. So I got to, you know, you get the right torque converter. That's one of those electronically controlled that you need to adapt to, non-computer controlled. And I've got I think a 3.8 Ford rear end behind it. So like I said, I've got to get some input as to if the cam that I bought that I already have is going to work with all of that stuff and that kind of thing. But anyway, so this is going to go together first. I don't think it will take that long, but this is going to go together first. In the meantime, like I said, I can be de-rusting. Since I'm doing that electrolysis thing, it's like you put a big thing of water, you put this in a tub of water, and it sits there for a day or two doing its thing with a brine and electrical charge. So anyway, that's what's going to happen with this. I thought you might be interested in that. So like I said, that's going to be a really long-term kind of a will it start thing. And I've been wanting to do this now for a long time. I know my brother had this stuff, obviously. And it seemed to me like a real fun thing to do, to put one of these things together and see if it'll run. Because, I mean, Model A motors are kind of like, they're like that. They're like the old Chevy 6-cylinders that you can't hardly kill them. They'll run and they'll run and they'll run. No matter what you do to them, they run. So anyway, talk to you later. Bye. Hello there. This is the other half of the Blue Heinz garage facility, the original side. You can see here we're working on the Model A reclamation Model A motor. We're trying to see if we can make one of these old motors run again. This one's a 1931 block that you're looking at here. And it's been sitting here. It's been sitting here for a week with vinegar, white vinegar, in the water jackets. You see here, it's been, looks like it has been working, processing, whatever you want to call it, reacting, I guess is the word I'm looking for, with the rust in the water jackets. I'm supposed to be getting some, I forgot what you call it, not sulfuric acid, what is it? Some other kind of acid that you use, a solution that you use on the raw cast iron after you rinse it off, that protects it. It converts the rust, whatever's left, it converts the rust, and it kind of acts as a primer, as well as protecting the cast iron from flash rusting for up to a year. Anyway, I'm waiting for some of that to get here today. Once that arrives, then I will drain this and rinse it out, neutralize it with a baking soda solution, neutralize the acid from the vinegar, and then squirt it with the solution. I cannot remember what it's called, crud buster, I think, but I can't remember what it's made up. It's some sort of acid, not sulfuric, but something I cannot remember. Muriatic? No. Anyway, that's where we're at. I just rinsed out the head. I had the head sitting there upside down with those water jackets full of vinegar for a week also. It's laying out here now because I just emptied the vinegar out of that, flushed it out, blew it out, and now it is full of the baking soda neutralization solution. You know, it's just a baking soda water solution to neutralize the acid. So I'm going to let that sit there for an hour or two, flush that out. You see it's flash rusting already because it's lightly been sandblasted. Before I did anything to it, I lightly sandblasted it in a cabinet, in a bead blast cabinet. But anyway, so we're going to let that sit there for an hour or two in the baking soda solution, and then I'm going to rinse that out. Probably going to air dry it again, And when I'm done, I will lightly sandblast it again and put that same solution on that piece. You see, it's flash rusting already. Anyway, that's where we're at with the Model A stuff. I've sorted through all the parts, kept everything I had that will, the best parts of what I had. I had parts for, look like almost 3 motors. And I kept the best of everything and a little more. For this one, I still am lacking a few things. I need a flywheel housing, distributor. I have a carburetor. I have a starter motor that's not the best condition, but I think I can make that work. I have a water pump that I took apart and cleaned up and putting back together. I think that's fine. I have an oil pump that I'm doing the same thing with. But anyway, a radiator would be nice, so I could set it up on a stand, a Model A radiator. I mean, I have a 57 Chevy radiator that I can use, but the outlet, the bottom outlet's on the wrong side, so I'd rather have one that works so that I can use the original hose and whatever from the Model A, if I can turn one up at a reasonable price. But anyway, a few of those things I still need. I have most everything, but I still need a few of those things. Like I said, the flywheel housing, because that's where the starter motor bolts up, and I don't have one of those. It's a cast iron piece, bolts right to the back of the block. So anyway, later, bye. Yeah, hello there. Well, some of you may find this interesting. Probably not the same crowd that normally is interested around here. This is Model A stuff, not 57 Chevy. What we're doing here is first time for me. I've heard of it a lot of times, but this first time for me is we're trying an electrolysis bath on this Model A block, engine block that's in the bath here. You can see the cylinders there. So what we have here is a tote, a big tote, and we have 25 gallons of water. The block sitting in the middle. I made I guess you would call it an anode, an iron piece that goes all around the perimeter, and that's what that red conductor is attached to. See, I got a piece of iron bolted to the block, and the negative conductor is attached to the block. And then we got a 12-volt battery charger turned on at 12 amps. And in that water is a kind of a soap solution. Arm & Hammer, I forgot what they call it, Laundry Plus or something like that. It's a soap solution. It probably has lye in it, I'm guessing. Most soap is made out of lye. And I don't know what the deal is, what it causes when you put the current on it, but it creates a reaction, and it dissolves the rust. So this has been in here since, actually it's been turned on. It's been there since Friday night, but it wasn't turned on until yesterday morning. The power of it wasn't turned on until yesterday morning. So it's been in the bath and under power since yesterday morning. I had it last night since, everybody was asleep and all that. I was a little concerned, so I turned it down to 2 amps, but it was on all night. So here we go. You can see the reaction it's causing. And I skimmed this. It was all red on the top, all around the block, which is where the reaction happens. My understanding is the reaction happens between the product you have the negative on and the anode, anywhere in a straight line between those 2 points. So I don't know that it's doing anything on the machine surfaces in the middle of the block. It's working all around the outsides, and whatever is exposed around those outside surfaces. So anyway, we'll see. I'm going to probably leave it on through tonight and see what it looks like tomorrow. It's probably ready. The block wasn't all that rusty anywhere. So I'm thinking that from based on what I'm seeing as far as the reaction, it's probably going to be done by tomorrow morning. I'm going to have a look and we'll see. And in the meantime, what I did today was worked on the pistons. Got all the rings out, obviously, off of them. I'm ordering new rings. One or two of these were broken, so I thought, instead of just replacing the rings in one, I'll do them all. So I cleaned the pistons. They're aluminum, and there was some oxidation built up on 2 or 3 of them in different places, not all the way around. So I got them all clean. You notice this one here is the cleanest one because I've got in this can, I've got enough lacquer thinner to soak the piston, to submerge the piston. And after I left it in there, I left that one in there for 2 or 3 hours, and then I cleaned it all up. It cleaned up real nice. So that one is completely done. The ring lands are all clean. You notice I broke one ring in half, and I sharpened the edges, the broken edges on the sander over there, and I used it like a scraper. And I cleaned the ring lands on all the pistons. That one there, I took the cap off and cleaned the outside surfaces, the cast iron surfaces on the wire wheel. And I got another one soaking right now in the lacquer thinner. So it's a little tedious, but that's the fun of what I'm doing here. I know it's gonna be work, but like I said, that's the fun of what I'm doing. So I'm making some progress. Anyway, talk at you later. Good morning. It's February 23rd, Wednesday. Just thought I'd show you one of the other things that happens around here. If you remember, this is called Coupe de Villa. You can figure that out, obviously, if you're an old Cadillac fan. And this is a task, a chore that really needs to happen about once a year around here. And as memory serves, probably terribly understating this, it's been at least 3 years, I think, since this has happened here. Bottom line is, every so often this needs to get thoroughly cleaned out. And you saw when I walked up here, I got the pressure washer all set up, which I had to fix yesterday because it wouldn't run for more than 30 seconds. Gonna get in here and wash this out, which means I gotta clean it out first, get rid of all the bedding. That skirt is built so that it comes out of there just for easy cleaning, so the bedding doesn't get in all those wall spaces, all those cubicles, those little spaces there. So anyway, that skirt comes out, all the bedding comes out, including the nesting boxes. It's going to get power washed, left to dry. It's around 11 o'clock right now. Left to dry, and then put all back together. So that's what I'm going to start. You see, I already started. And in the meantime, PG&E, our local utility, sent us notice they're going to turn the power off at roughly 1 o'clock because they're going to do some work on the poles, change a cross arm or something on the poles. So I have the emergency generator all set up to put into play for the first time. You remember around here 2 years ago, PG&E started turning the power off whenever it got windy to try and avoid starting fires like they've been doing when the wind blows their wires apart and their transmission lines apart and together, and causes big arcs and starts fires. Anyway, at that point I put a generator here so that when they turn the power off for 2 or 3 windy days, I don't lose everything that's in my freezer and refrigerator and everything else. So we're gonna put that to use for the first time today, because once I put the generator here, they quit doing that so far. Not that they don't do it, they just haven't felt the need right so far. Anyway, we're going to try that too. So if I turn this back on during the course, you'll hear the generator running and we'll be on emergency power. Anyway, here goes. Okay, well, these guys are happy. I threw them some weeds from up here. Some miner's lettuce and other stuff that's growing up there. And they're kind of happy. And this already, all I did was clean the bedding out and take the skirts out. This already looks a lot better. Long overdue. Anyway, so we're going to get started. I'm going to go fire that thing up, power washer, and start spraying. Put on some rain gear and start spraying. Okay. Well, it's, I don't know, 2.5 hours later. You can see it looks much cleaner everywhere. And it turned into a real chore because 5 minutes in, the pressure washer quit again. There's got to be something, you know, with this modern gasoline, there's got to be something in the fuel system. I took the tank off yesterday and I blew all the lines out, checked the filter. There was air, air was passing through everything. It seemed like everything was clear. I don't know, maybe there's something stuck in the carburetor. I did not take the carburetor apart. But anyway, I had to scrub all of this because a lot of that stuff, the fly specks and a lot of the staining and stuff like that just doesn't wash off. You got to scrub it off. The pressure washer would probably do it, but like I said, if there's something wrong with that thing, I'm going to have to take it down and get it serviced. But anyway, we're done with this. So now it just needs to dry. And then we can put it back together. Put the skirts back in it. Put the bedding back in it. Girls can have their house back all cleaned up. I'll send them a bill for the cleaning. They're out here doing what they do. You notice the weeds are half gone. And there was quite a patch, quite a pile. So anyway, they're happy doing what they do. Anyway, the line crew hasn't turned the power off yet. It's 2 o'clock. They were supposed to be here between 1 and 1 and 5 is what the notice said. I guess that means any time between 1 and 5 they can turn the power off and back on. I don't know, I guess. So maybe it's going to be off for an hour, but it might be off between 4 and 5 or 3 and 4. Who knows? Later. Done. Good as new. There it is, all the new bedding in there, including in the nesting boxes. It's all scrubbed clean. Good for another year. So now I can bring the pressure washer and get it fixed. Maybe the next time it'll work. So we're learning how to deal with all that stuff, I guess. Run it out of gas, run the gas out of the carburetor, empty the fuel tank, all that other good stuff. We're so modern and whatever, progressive and everything else, you know. We on top of things, so nothing works. Anyway, we're done. See ya.